of the most controversial, if not downright offensive parts of the Torah is the system of sacrifice. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day number 1 of the Torah portion, Vayikra. We began the study of the book of Leviticus. Yes, that exciting book that most people will start reading the Bible through in a year, and they'll get to Leviticus chapter 1 and they quit. They just simply can't handle the sacrificial details and the details of the Levitical priesthood. Well, actually, this is one of the most exciting books in Scripture once you learn to appreciate it and understand what it's trying to say. So let's begin in chapter number 1, where verses 1 and 2. And Yahweh called to Moshe. The word called there is Vayikra, and he called and spoke to him from the tent of appointment, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any one of you brings an offering to Yahweh, you bring your offerings of the livestock, of the herd, or of the flock. And we're going to pause there. Now, this week we will be focusing on primarily chapter number 1. At least that's the intention at this point. This altar of sacrifice, it's stained with blood. It has animal fat and carcass laid upon it until it is completely consumed. The courtyard in the surrounding area is littered with the skins that have been pulled off of these animals for many of these offerings. It's a bloody affair. It's a gross affair in many's estimation. If you've not done any hunting and any cleaning of an animal shot in the field and doing some field dressing of that sort, this would be repulsive perhaps to you. Why would Yah even want us to offer up an innocent lamb or a bull or a goat? Why is this even necessary? Well, as offensive as it might seem to our esteemed and, shall we say, refined conscience and attitudes about life, Yah is actually worshipped through blood and fat and animals and the process that they go through and that which they represent. Now, if he is to be worshipped through that, and he says that he is accepting of that, provided that the heart is a part of the process. It's true in Yeshayahu or Isaiah chapter number 1. He says, I've had enough of these offerings of yours and your feast days and so forth. Is he doing away with those things? No, not at all. He is saying, you're offering to me these sacrifices and you're keeping Shabbats and feast days, but your hands are full of blood. You are condemned. You refuse to change your ways. You're not walking uprightly or righteously, and you're only going through the motions. This is the same condemnation that we get out of Malachi, chapter number 1. Read and compare those two prophets and their first chapters. So what is it about this altar that is actually acceptable and desirous from Yah? Well, consider this, that when a piece of an animal, a part that is acceptable and prescribed, is laid upon the altar and the flames begin to shoot up and the fat begins to dissolve and is beginning to drip down into the flames, increasing the heat and the intensity, what's taking place? Well, we use the word consume, to be consumed on the altar. A better understanding, in my opinion, is the word transformation. That which is laid upon the altar is transformed. It goes from being that of physical realm, flesh and blood, and as it is burned and consumed, there is a transformation that takes place until it's rendered into ashes. That which was standing and breathing a few moments ago it's not that the life has been taken away from him or it, but rather that the life has been released. There is the shedding of life along with the blood. The life is in the blood. So the life that was captured and held in captivity inside the animal has now been released. And through the process of this transformation, that which was a mere animal has been elevated. In fact, the first offering in chapter number 1 of Leviticus or Vayikra is the Olah, O-L-A-H, Olah. The Olah is an elevation offering, an ascension offering. It is the whole or burnt offering. All of those terms describe the same offering here. And the idea is that as the animal is laid upon the altar for this purpose, then the presenter of the sacrifice or the offering is elevated with the smoke that goes up. So as the fat and the blood and the carcass is consumed and transformed to that which now is set apart. It was fleshly, now it's set apart. It was common, now it is holy. So is then the one who brought it being transformed in their heart, their mind, and their attitude, if it is connected to that which they have placed upon it, upon the altar. They are offered an opportunity to rise up and to be elevated in their person. Now, a key here is found in the word offering. In Hebrew, it is the word korban, K-O-R-B-A-N, korban. And the idea here is that Yah is saying to us, when anyone will bring a korban of you, the idea is that you bring an offering of yourself. Whatever the animal and for whatever the purpose, the sacrifice is to represent you. Rabbi Shaul, the Apostle Paul, says in Romans chapter number 12, verse 1 and 2, I beseech you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present yourself, what does he say? A living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto Yah, which is a reasonable act of worship. You are to be transformed then by the renewing of your minds, that you may be able to prove what is that good and acceptable, the perfect will of Elohim. He's talking about you and I presenting a korban of ourselves, identifying ourselves with the sacrificial tree of Yeshua, offering ourselves as an olah to Yah. Well, if Yeshua has done that for us, then why do we even have to? Because if our heart is not attached to what we're proclaiming and declaring and claiming for ourselves, it is of no good. We're stuck with everyone else in Malachi and Yeshayahu or Isaiah chapters 1. When we come to the altar, the key then is that you and I lay ourselves upon the altar for the effect of being transformed. That is, that the flesh of ourselves, the blood and the fat and the flesh be consumed unto the place that we are transformed. Whether we like to admit it or not, we're not perfect. We weren't born that way. We have not been raised that way. We are not living that way. We need to change. If that offends you, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And it's something I have to face daily as well. We have to be changed. We need to not only turn over a new leaf or start over again or go back to square one. No, we need to be transformed. We need to stop living according to our flesh and its dictates and desires and live more according then to what the Ruach HaKodesh inside of us is elevating our spirit to desire. There's only one way to do that. We need transformation. And there's only one who can give us that, and that is Yeshua. We must be identified with him. Yeshua says, if you're going to follow me, pick up your cross and come on. let's go die so that we might live. We'll detail the sacrifices beginning tomorrow. Until then, shalom.